board was bragging that Hollywood Boulevard was voted top 100 tourist spots to go to. But what they never told you, it was number 100 out of the 100 that they were
What was number 99?
I have no clue, but it was voted number
Paul Revere's house.
Yeah, something like that. Dude, you ever hear about what Ben Franklin was? Okay, that's a different story. But
what did he do?
You never heard that, like, what he was found in? They found in his house?
No.
Like tons of bodies, bro.
What?
Ben Franklin, they found tons of bodies in his.
Ben Franklin was a serial killer?
No, he was like doing some weird shit, dude. Bodies.
Like experimenting with bodies?
Yeah.
Is this real?
Everything I say.
Was Ben Franklin's basement filled with skeletons? Repairs on Franklin's old London house turned up 1,200 pieces of bone from at least 15 people. Holy shit. For nearly 2 decades. By the way, this is from the Smithsonian. This is not some wacky conspiracy
This ain't SamTripoli.com.
Yeah. For nearly 2 decades leading up to the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Benjamin Franklin lived in London in a house on 36 Craven Street. In 1776, Franklin left his English home to come back to America. More than 200 years later, 15 bodies were found in the basement, buried in a secret windowless room beneath the garden. In 1998, conservationists were doing repairs on 36 Craven, looking to turn Franklin's old haunt into a museum. From a 1 meter wide, 1 meter deep pit, over 1,200 pieces of bone were retrieved. Remnants of more than a dozen bodies, said Benjamin Franklin's house. 6 were children. Forensic investigations showed that the bones dated to Franklin's day. Holy shit. The most plausible explanation is not mass murder, but an anatomy school run by Benjamin's young friend and protege, William Hewson. Oh, just an anatomy school.
Yeah, and we're just going to bury them downstairs.
Okay, anatomy was still in its infancy, but the day's social and ethical mores frowned upon it. A steady supply of human bodies was hard to come by legally. So Hewson, Hunter, and Field's other pioneers had to turn to grave robbing, either paying professional resurrection men to procure cadavers or digging them up themselves to get their hands on specimens. Researchers think 36 Craven was an irresistible spot for Hewson to establish his own anatomy lab. The tenant was a trusted friend, and the landlady was his mother-in-law, and he was flanked by convenient sources for corpses. Bodies could be smuggled from graveyards and delivered to the wharf at one end of the street or snatched from the gallows at the other end. When he was done with them, Hewson simply buried whatever was left of the bodies in the basement rather than sneak them out for disposal elsewhere and risk getting caught and prosecuted for dissection and grave robbing. Franklin was probably aware of the illegal studies going on in his building, says the Benjamin Franklin House, but it's doubtful that he was involved himself. Still, we can't imagine that, curious man that he was, he didn't sneak down and check out the proceedings at least once or twice. Of course he did. Could you imagine if you're my friend and we live together and I say, Sam, what are you up to? You're like, bro, we got to find out how people work, and there's only one way to do it. We got to look at bodies. Whoa, how are you going to do that? We got to find a place where we can fucking legally or secretly look at bodies. Well, I got a basement. Okay, so what do we do with the bodies? Bury them, bro. But back then, when they were studying medicine, isn't that what they did? Like, all those people that like studied anatomy back then, how did they, if it was illegal to study anatomy, if it was illegal to study bodies, how else would they find out how anatomy worked?
That seems weird, but who knows? They had weird laws back then, but...
It does seem weird, but it makes sense, right? Because if they had never studied anatomy before, and then all of a sudden it came along and they're like, well, we got to fuck up your grandpa.
Right.
We got to carve grandpa up like a turkey to find out what makes people tick. You know?
So weird note to add in another article about this.
Oh boy.
It's just
Franklin's history as a Mason was one of the historian's initial points of inquiry. Though shrouded in secrecy, Masonic rituals have dark, known undercurrents which have at times gone horribly wrong. For example, in the 2004 initiation ceremony, a new member was accidentally shot by a member who meant to fire an empty gun but instead fired a loaded one. So
yeah.
They fake shot at each other?
Yeah.
But when historians dug deeper into what was going on in the Franklin home during the years the bones dated back to, they discovered the real culprit behind the bones was one of William Houston, the medical student. Yeah, they're basically saying the same thing.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. I think they all were a part of like secret groups back then, right?
So have you ever heard of the special deal that Ben Franklin supposedly was a part of? And I'd love to hear if you could debunk this, because I'd love to know.
A special deal.
A special deal with basically the royal family of England, that they would get a percentage of taxes, of all taxes.
So Benjamin Franklin made a deal that some of the taxes from the United States would go back to England?
Still, to this day.
I don't want to debunk that, but I do. They just put out a special, like who's that? Ken Burns?
Yeah.
He made a Ben Franklin special, like maybe 4 episodes. There was a time period he was going back and forth, which is what this other article was saying, where he lived there, and it was whether it was in Germany or England. I don't remember specifically. He lived there for a long time. Like his wife, he abandoned his wife like 25, 30 years. He had a kid, abandoned. Never came back.
Benjamin Franklin did?
Yeah, he was like the American representative living in England. This was like, like right after the Revolutionary War. There's a lot of stuff about taxation and representation still going on after the fact.
Huh.
So there might be something to that.
Jesus Christ.
I'm trying to remember all the stuff about that documentary I just saw.
Yeah, that like
maybe they're like, Benjamin, you get 80 people buried in your fucking house.
Yeah, how are we gonna do this?
Let's make a fucking deal, son.
We'll blame this kid, or we'll blame you.
Man.
And then they supposedly that the Queen of England or the royal family gets a percentage of our taxes.
What do you think is going on now that one day some assholes like you and I will be sitting doing a podcast talking about what the government is doing today?
What?
Imagine.
Yeah.
30 years from now.
Yeah.
They're talking about how Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan and started a war with China. That we underestimated China's response. And that was the initial start of World War III. Imagine if that's what it is. If this is our Gulf of Tonkin or whatever, this is our not D-Day. This is our, what's D-Day? D-Day's the
Pearl Harbor?
Pearl Harbor, yeah. This is the day that will live in infamy. This is our day.
It's crazy.
Imagine if that's, because history is going to play out, right? We are not there yet.
Yeah.
Whatever's going to happen hasn't happened.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
It is.
That's what's crazy, is that the Chinese government is saying that. Did you know that Chris Williamson said that yesterday, that they had posted on their social media account, prepare for war?
Yeah. That's what we're using now, social media, to declare war.
Well, Trump did that.
Yep. Yeah.
Remember? He called Kim Jong-un Little Rocket Man. And he's like, our rockets are bigger and better, I promise you. We have the best rockets. I'm the best at rockets. No one loves rockets more than me.
Yeah, dude. I mean, she went over there and...
Is she there now?
Yeah, she landed.
In Taiwan?
She landed.
Taiwan. What do you think that's all about? Is that a dick waving contest?
Well, it's also like,
Imagine if that's how they're trying to get rid of Nancy Pelosi.
Oh.
They're like, this lady's making too much fucking money. It's
She's
too
over
obvious.
here.
She's fucking up our whole scam.
Yeah, right?
Hey, but Nancy, Taiwan would love for you to visit.
Hey,
I love Taiwan. Let's go. You maybe make a deal over there, find out about some chips, bring the husband. He's really good with numbers.
And you won't have to drive there. He can drink all he wants.
Bro, they made more money in the stock market. They're better at the stock market than George Soros and Warren Buffett.
It's unbelievable.
Two guys that's all they do. That's their thing. Warren Buffett, that's his fucking thing.
I get what she's like hitting at 80%.
She's so good. Her husband's a genius. He's amazing.
Just a wine drunk with big shiny tits.
When they asked her whether or not she gave information, she's like, certainly not. And she pushes the microphone. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
just walks away.
Dude, how long has she been there?
Forever.
There's a picture of her with JFK at his inauguration.
Yeah.
That's insane to be there that long in power.
It's amazing.
And it's just like, how do we not have term limits? Like, that is too long to be there.
She keeps getting voted in. What's amazing is one of my favorite images of her mock clapping Trump.
Oh, yeah. You don't like this one? Whatever she's doing here.
Oh, my God. Kyle Dunnigan's shit with...
the funniest dude.
It's the craziest shit of all time. It's so funny.
So gifted.
So good. That is so good. That thing that they do. Oh my God. That web series that they do.
It's him and I think Kurt Metzger.
Kurt Metzger is the fucking man. He is so funny.
Yeah,
that
and
dude
he's
is
a great writer.
He's so good. He's so funny. And the two of them together, the fucking sketches that they put together are so funny. They're so ruthless.
And it's just weird that like we need like those guys to do it on YouTube, and we're not seeing like Saturday Night Live do it and all these others, because that's what should be done. I feel
no one can go that hard unless you're on the internet.
Right, it's kind of crazy, but even just a little bit, it just seemed like and this is my kind of problem with comedy right now, and I love all comics, but there's a lot of comics who are like my generation who felt like the censorship from the religious right that still can't, that just don't understand that censorship, yeah, there are crazy religious right people out there, but the censorship is now from the left.
There's a lot of censorship from the left, but if the left lets up, the right will pick it up.
Well, you already see it. You remember when with the Roe versus Wade, you got the crazy people on, this is the end of hookup culture. You're like, stop it, please.
Settle down.
The guys who are like hating against gays while they're sucking trucker dick on the weekends.
Now, the real conspiracy theorists will say that this Roe versus Wade thing is to distract us from all the other stuff going on in the world, so that we'll fight over that because it's such a hot button topic for America.
Yeah.
People are so divided on abortion rights, and it's so important. It's such a line in the sand for a lot of people, especially women. You know, that a woman's right to choose is such a line in the sand that when they take that away, then people are going to be fighting so hard for that they're going to ignore all the other shenanigans that are going on.
Well, I think the biggest problem that the right to choose people messed up on is that so many of them were anti-right to choose when it came to getting the vaccine. And you see it happen all the time.
My choice.
Yeah, and then they
it's different. They think it's different because it involves other people. Like having a pregnancy and me as a woman having autonomy over your body is your choice. And a man telling you what you can and can't do, which is often the case, is what's so infuriating. The difference is they thought the vaccine was going to stop the spread of the virus and stop the virus in its tracks. So
well, they also thought it was a world a public problem when it really wasn't. If you take a look at like the actual numbers of people who passed away from it, it was like a 99% survival rate.
Yeah, but it still is a public problem if you have 100 friends and one of them dies from this fucking thing. Especially people that are vulnerable, people with autoimmune diseases, older people, overweight people.
Right.
I get their perspective, and I get if it really did stop the spread of the virus, that it totally makes sense. The problem is, once it was recognized that it didn't, they stuck with the same game plan. Instead of saying, hey, what are the other options? What are the other things to do it? And how many people exactly are experiencing adverse symptoms and effects from this? How many people are hospitalized because of it? What's happening? Like, really happening? Let's instead of pretending that it's all good, let's look at all of the good it does and then also what's the bad it does and let people make informed choices. That's always been the case with medicine, especially when you're talking about something that may or may not help you, because it may or may not stop the spread. It may help you if you encounter the virus within a certain period of time, but then, you know, a lot of places they're saying if you were vaccinated and boosted a year ago, it doesn't count anymore.
It's crazy.
Like, they're making you get boosters and more boosters, and even while the effects of the virus have diminished greatly, right? It's still dangerous to a lot of people, no doubt about it. But at what percentage now? And what are the numbers? And can we be accurate about that so we can make an informed decision? That's why people get upset, because they don't feel like they're able to make their own decisions about these kind of things.
But do you believe there was a manipulation of the numbers to make it presented as something? So it all kicks off with these videos of Chinese people falling backwards, right? They're like, oh my God, this thing's going on in China. And it's presented on the news as this crazy thing going on. And even though we never saw it until when? Vaccines hit. And you see all these you see the comedian, what's her face in
oh yeah,
she just falls right back.
Like, yeah, there's certain people that, and Dr. Drew's talked about this, from the booster do have, and maybe even from the second shot, do have an adverse event. I know people that have had it. The question is how many. The question is also when you're mass vaccinating, right? When you're giving a medication to 300 million people just in this country alone, right? Or whatever it is, 260 million people, you're going to absolutely have some adverse effects. The question is it worth it to like risk that because the benefit is overall good? That's where people should be making like logical debates and logical conversations about it. The problem is people get scared, and when people get scared and they think that some people aren't doing the right thing when they did the right thing, then they get angry and emotional, and then they start believing things that turn out to not necessarily be true, because some of these people that have put out these, you know, results and studies, they have skewed the data, and this has been proven, right? So it's like, this is just humans. This is humans, and just because it lines up with this, what they thought the pandemic was going to be, that's because that was their game plan to what to do if something went down. Doesn't mean they planned it. I don't think they would have. I mean, so many fucking powerful, important people died, man. A lot of fucking people that were like, you would think like they were at the top of the food chain in terms of resources and knowledge and influence. A lot of those fucking people died from COVID. Like, I got COVID. COVID is fucking
I got
real.
COVID too.
It's fucking real. But it's just, it's not good. I'm not trying to diminish COVID, but I'm saying it's not the same for everybody. That's a fact. And taking into account different people, particularly children's immune systems and their responses to it, I think, you know, we as a society, always when something goes down and it's scary, we have like sides that we pick, and we have positions that we take, and we stand by them, and we defend them even when more data keeps coming out that shows you that it wasn't exactly accurate.
So I always think, dude, this is my opinion, that, you know, you'll have the trust authority side and then you have the conspiracy side, and never is it one completely way or the other.
Right.
But for me, I think it tends to more lean towards the conspiracy side more often than not. Now, not saying that's completely, but it leans towards the conspiracy side more times than not. Because to be honest with you, Joe, I've been saying the same thing today that I'm saying when this whole thing came out. So that's the only reason I go, there's nothing that's happened to me that has changed the way I look at this thing. It just always is the same people that get the more the money, the more the power, the more. And then you discuss, like, is this a move to get us into some kind of like thing on our phone where we have to have a vaccine pass on our phone and all that stuff, and you can't go a certain place unless you got this vaccine pass, and what that represents.
That's what scares people.
And contact tracing and all that stuff that we start seeing that's happening in China. Now, I don't know everything that's truthful that comes out of China, because there's a military-industrial complex.
Well, they definitely have that. They definitely have that. They definitely have a social credit system. And, you know, that's been documented. And it's also been documented that people that didn't have enough points or did the wrong thing or said the wrong thing or whatever, they weren't allowed to travel. You weren't allowed to purchase certain things. There's parts of the world right now where you have to show your ID in order to get gas. Like, you have to...
Sri Lanka.
You have to scan your number,
right,
to see if you're allowed to get gas.
I mean, what happened in Canada with the truckers, where they shut down people's bank accounts because they were associated with
scary shit.
Been some people have been talking about for that is the scary part of moving to crypto, right?
Did they give them their money back? Did they give the truckers in Canada their bank accounts back? Whatever happened with that? That's an interesting question, right?
It's scary, man.
They took away their access to their funds to try to encourage them to quit.
Or somebody just, one woman just sent like $100 to it, and the government shut down her bank account and didn't allow her to get into her bank. That to me is super scary.
Canada unlocks vast majority of bank accounts frozen over support for trucker convoy. So they unlocked the vast majority, but they kept some locked down.
Do you think Trudeau's Castro's kid?
Boy, he looks like it, doesn't it?
Oh, they have the exact same
crazy.
face.
It's crazy. That's the wildest conspiracy ever.
You see that? You see that?
How is that? Is there like a timeline where that actually makes sense? Where his mom met Castro? Really?
I have an episode I did called Cuckapalooza, right? And it's basically all of these offsprings that don't look like their fathers, but they look like friends of the family. And I have this whole theory that they all just, like, everybody hooks up, and it's hot potato. With Frank Sinatra.
Looks exactly like him. Here, Trudeau was born a little more than 9 months after the marriage of his parents and more than 4 years before Margaret made a much publicized trip to Cuba. So that doesn't make sense. Margaret was 22 when she married the 51-year-old prime minister and was a subject of intense media scrutiny. I like that.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for him.
You go, boy.
Sort of. Okay. Subject of intense media scrutiny. Back then, that was normal, though, right? Experts say it would have been impossible for an earlier visit to Cuba to go unnoticed. Experts say. As long as they say. Cuban media have been unusually open about the death of Castro's oldest son, Fidelito, describing it as a suicide after a long depression. Neither state media nor independent reporters covering the death have reported the existence of a suicide note. Okay, but that's just, we're going into a weird area here. But do me a favor, just for funsies. Just for funsies.
That's why it came out, is because there's supposedly a suicide note said that.
Oh, the suicide note, but supposedly there's
look
no
at their
suicide
faces,
note.
dude.
But that's what I wanted to do. February 1, suicide of Castro's oldest son, Fidelito, spurred the most recent reports on several sites claiming that Fidelito left a suicide note referring to Justin Trudeau as his half-brother. The theory was that Castro was Trudeau's father, was also shared wildly on social media. Okay, just for funsies, and this is just funsies, let's Google. Look at the two of them together.
No, there's some that are like...
There's like multiple
right down
photos.
Right down there. See that 6 pictures right there? There it is.
Yeah, that's it. That's wild. That is wild. That is fucking wild. When you look at those, let's look at all of them. The top. Oh my God, look at the top one. Bro, that is wild.
But then you compare him to who they say is his father, and he doesn't look anything like his dad.
That is wild. Hey, bro, you need a 23andMe right away, sir. We need it's wild how close he looks. If it's not his dad, boy, if I was the father, I'd be fucking suspicious as shit.
Well, yeah, have you ever
Where's
heard
his real dad?
I think that's what this is.
Oh, okay. Well, let me say, hold on. Okay, but his real dad, he looks like his real dad, too. Yeah, he looks a lot like his real dad, dude. A lot. Okay, I give up. It's just coincidence. It looks a lot like his real dad, dude.
Have you ever looked
Hold on,
into...
go back to that. Don't take that away. Go to the top one. That looks a lot like him, man. He looks a lot like his real dad. A lot.
They're both men.
No. Look at the nose. This shade. That's not ridiculous at all. He looks a lot like him, man. A lot. It's just a theory. It's just fun.
It's fun. Hey, man, we're just having fun.
Because looking at it right there, he looks a lot like his dad.
Have you ever seen like Prince? Obviously, we had the Frank Sinatra one, but who's
spreading the news? That's the best one.
Yeah. How about the?
That's Woody Allen's kid. Fuck you.
No, not even
Fuck
close.
you.
Not even close.
Fuck you.
Have you ever looked into the Woody Allen case, dude? It's super.
Let's end this.
Okay.
How long have we been going? 4 hours?
I'm getting close. 3.5 at the
Don't
break.
go too deep. Ben,
No,
it's
not that. We got a show in 2 hours. I gotta
for
eat.
sure, dude.
I gotta eat dinner.
I love you, buddy.
I love
Thank
you too,
Hope
man.
it wasn't too weird.
It was awesome. We got to do this more often.
Anytime.
I love you. I miss
anytime.
you.
I love you very much. I miss the whole crew.
Thank you for everything. You're the fucking man. I appreciate you very much. You're a fun dude.
Thank you, dude.
And we've had fun gigging in the past, and we're gonna do it tonight.
I'm so excited to be back with
man.
the boys.
Bro, we haven't done a show together in fucking a few years now.
Years, dude.
Yes, my friend.
Love you, bud.
Love you too. Social media. Tell everybody all your podcasts.
I have 7, but
you have really 7 podcasts?
I have 7 podcasts.
Oh my God.
Yeah, if I want, listen, it's either I could talk to myself or just throw a camera and a microphone in front of me. Tinfoil Hat, Broken Sim is my Grand Theft Auto one where I go around and I just look for I just look for danger and tell you what I see. My spiritual podcast is called Zero. I got a show with my good friend Brian Callen called Conspiracy Social Club. Cash Daddies is my financial one, and Punch Drunk Sports. Just go to Fat Dragon Pro on Twitter or Sam Tripoli everywhere else. Go to samtripoli.com for all my dates. I'm in San Francisco this weekend.
And he's a hilarious comic too. Very funny dude. I love you, man.
I love you, buddy, so much.
Good night, everyone.